Crash. A sharp, unmistakable sound of ceramic shattering entirely. The noise like a knife. I froze in the doorway, holding a tray of cold pork sliders. My heart dropped before I even saw the mess. Then came the silence, heavy and instant. Everyone turned to look at me. Uncle Pete's antique plate, the one he keeps locked in a cabinet, was in pieces near the dining table. Jason, of course, was the first to speak. "Nice one, Em. Can't even carry food without breaking something." My mom's voice cut sharper than the broken plate. "Are you serious? Can't you go one holiday without causing a scene?" My jaw tightened. I hadn't even put the tray down yet. "I didn't do anything," I said. My voice shook, but no one cared. All eyes were already on me, judging, accusing, confirming what they already believed. No one asked what really happened. No one looked at Jason, who'd been messing around near the table just seconds before. No one said a word in my defense. That was the moment I knew I was back in the role they'd cast me in years ago. The problem: my name is Emma. I'm 25, single, and a graphic designer living in Dallas. I'm the youngest in a very loud, very opinionated Houston family. And for as long as I can remember, I've been the one they point fingers at whenever something goes wrong. My older brother, Jason. He's their golden boy. At 28, he's got charm, a decent job in tech sales, and a way of avoiding accountability that should honestly be studied. We're here for our family's annual Tet-style brunch, a tradition we started years ago, to bring the extended family together over food stories and a little too much wine. Except for me, it's become something else, a public trial. This year, I'd taken 2 days off baked lemon bars from scratch, brought my famous sliders. But none of that mattered. One shattered plate, and I was the villain again. I walked into the kitchen to set down the tray. No one followed me. My aunt slid past without making eye contact. I could still hear Jason in the living room cracking jokes. At the table, Mom started bragging about him. Jason's company sent him to LA for a big tech event. You know, real business stuff. I know. Maybe you should talk to him. Get some career advice. I nearly choked on my water. Jason leaned back in his chair. Thinking about starting a podcast. Help guys navigate success and relationships. Something real, you know. The whole room buzzed with approval. My dad clapped him on the shoulder. That's our boy. No one asked about my job. No one even pretended to care. Later, my cousin Riley found me in the hall. "You okay?" I smiled like I always do. "Fine." They were way out of line. "Yeah, but I'm used to it." Riley sighed. "It's messed up, Em. You didn't even break the damn plate." I nodded. She wasn't wrong. But I knew the truth didn't matter here. Not in this house. By dinner time, I was wiped out. I helped set the table, passed around drinks, made sure everyone had what they needed. When Jason knocked over a glass of soda, guess who got handed the paper towels? "Em, can you handle that?" he said, like I was the hired help. I did it. Of course I did, because that's what I've always done, fix things. I didn't break. Later, I overheard Uncle Pete asking about my love life. Before I could answer, Jason cut in Emma's married to her laptop. That's about it. Laughter all around. That was my cue. I slipped upstairs and shut myself in the guest room. I sat on the edge of the bed, stared at the group chat buzzing on my phone. Mom had just posted, "So good to see everyone again," even with the usual drama. I stared at that message for a long time. Then I texted my best friend Jess. "Next year, I'm not coming home. Not for this. Because I wasn't just tired, I was done. Dinner was supposed to be the one calm part of the night. Everyone had finally found a seat. The buffet was cleared, and my mom had pulled out her fancy silk table runner, just for the occasion. I'd helped plate everything, set the silverware, and arrange the candles. All I wanted now was to sit down, eat, and get through it without drawing attention. That was wishful thinking. Jason was sitting next to me, bragging about some new fitness app he wanted to launch, waving his hands around like he was pitching it to Shark Tank. He reached across the table to grab a bread roll, and in one motion knocked over a nearly full glass of red wine. It spilled straight into Mom's lap. She gasped, jumped back in her chair, and looked down in horror at the deep red stains soaking into her brand-new cream silk dress. The room went still. Jason muttered something like, "Damn my bad," but didn't move a muscle to help. Mom's head whipped toward me. Her eyes narrowed. "Emma, you were sitting right there. Couldn't you have stopped it?" My mouth opened in shock. I didn't even see it coming. She pressed a napkin hard against the stain. "You're always too careless. Can't you help out properly?" Jason just shrugged and kept chewing, not even trying to look guilty. I stared at him. Nothing. He didn't say a word to defend me, not even a casual. It was my fault. I could feel every pair of eyes around the table shifting toward me. Some sympathetic, some uncomfortable, but none of them said anything either. Just silence, like they were waiting to see how I'd handle being scolded again. I sank lower in my chair. The tight knot in my stomach got worse with each second. It wasn't just the blame. It was the way it felt so familiar. Like no matter how carefully I walked, how much I helped, how quiet I stayed, this always happened. Jason spills the wine, and somehow I'm the one who gets called reckless. It was like I didn't even have to do anything wrong. I just had to be me. I really didn't. I started again, but Mom cut me off. "Just sit down. You've done enough." So I sat. I didn't want to make a bigger scene. Not with so many relatives here. Cousins I hadn't seen in years, a few new spouses, some little kids running around. It was supposed to be a happy tit dinner. Once again, I was the problem child, the girl who ruined things. I looked down at my plate. I wasn't even hungry anymore. Jason leaned over and said under his breath, "Don't take it so seriously, Em. It's just wine." I turned to him, whispering, "You could have said it was your fault." He gave me that smug, half-laughing look. It's not a big deal. Maybe not to him. Jason could set the whole table on fire, and Mom would still offer him seconds. But for me, one slip-up even imagined, and I was the villain of the evening. Riley, my cousin, caught my eye from across the table and gave me a look sympathy, mixed with that awkward kind of pity. The kind that says I see you, but not loud enough to help. I tried to eat, tried to breathe, but my chest was too tight, my ears too hot. I wanted to leave, just walk right out the door and keep going. But instead, I sat there, smiling when they looked, laughing when expected, hiding the part of me that was screaming inside, because that's what I always do. I hide it, I take it, I pretend. And every time I think maybe it'll be different, Jason spills the wine and I get soaked. I was still reeling from the wine incident when the teasing started. I should have seen it coming. It always follows the blame. It's like once someone points the finger, everyone else takes it as permission to pile on. I was helping clear the plates when Cousin Tanya, who hadn't said 2 words to me all night, loudly declared from across the table, "Maybe if you weren't so clumsy all the time, you wouldn't keep ruining Mom's parties." A few forks clinked down on plates. The room went quiet for half a beat, just long enough to register the insult, before the laughter kicked in. Jason snorted. I mean, she's got a point. More laughter followed. Even Uncle Pete chuckled. My aunt tried to hide a smirk behind her wine glass. I stood there holding a stack of plates frozen. My throat tightened so quickly. It felt like someone had physically grabbed it. I swallowed hard, trying to force the rage and embarrassment back down. It burned going down. I looked at Mom, just hoping for some kind of intervention. She didn't even glance up. Just kept scooping rice onto her plate, like she hadn't heard a thing. Tanya kept going, "Remember when you tripped at my graduation and almost knocked over the whole cake table?" That was wild. That was like 10 years ago, I said, trying to laugh it off. My voice came out hoarse. I was 15. Still, Tanya said with a shrug, "Some people just never outgrow it." Jason shook his head, sipping his soda. "It's her brand now. Emma, the walking accident." I felt my face flush. Every second that passed felt like a new layer of humiliation. They weren't just teasing. They were enjoying it. Like making me the joke brought them closer together. I tried to focus on my breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. But my hands were shaking. I could barely hold on to the plates. I turned to take them to the kitchen, but not before Riley muttered under her breath. That was kinda harsh. Kinda no. It was a full-on ambush. In the kitchen, I set the plates down harder than I meant to. One of them clanked against the counter. Not broken, but it echoed. My hands braced on the countertop. I stared down at the sink eyes, burning jaw clenched so tight, I thought my teeth might crack. What was it about me that made it okay for them to treat me like this? I hadn't done anything wrong. I helped. I showed up. I didn't complain. I never lashed out even when I had every reason to. And yet, I was always the punchline. Always the one who had to suck it up. I heard someone come in behind me. It was Jason. "Hey," he said casually, grabbing a leftover spring roll off the tray. "Don't be so sensitive." Tanya was just joking. Yeah, I said, not turning around. It's always just a joke. He chewed like nothing was wrong. You really gotta learn how to take one. I finally turned to look at him. And you really need to learn how to take responsibility. He paused for a second, blinked like he didn't expect that from me, then chuckled. "Okay, relax. You don't need to get all dramatic." Dramatic. That's always the label, isn't it? Jason walked out before I could say anything else. I stood there alone in the kitchen chest. He was staring at the tray of untouched food. My appetite had completely vanished. Back at the table, I stayed quiet. Tanya was now showing everyone a video on her phone. Jason was joking about investing in crypto. Everyone had moved on except me. Because when you're the family scapegoat, you don't get to move on. You just get to swallow it. All of it. And tonight, it was starting to feel like I couldn't anymore. After Tanya's little performance, and Jason's casual indifference, I just wanted to disappear. But I couldn't exactly vanish in a house this full, and sneaking off would only give them another reason to talk. So I did what I always do. I tried to help. As the meal wrapped up and people pushed back their chairs, I stood up and quietly started gathering dishes. No one asked me to. No one needed to. It's just who I've become in this family, the one who fills the silence by doing things no one else wants to do. I carried a stack of plates to the kitchen, rolled up my sleeves, and turned on the faucet. The warm water was strangely comforting. I lined up the dirty dishes, and started rinsing each one slowly, methodically. For a few minutes, I let myself breathe. If I couldn't be appreciated, at least I could be useful. Behind me, voices floated in from the dining room, Jason telling some overhyped story about running into a professional athlete at the gym. Everyone was laughing again. It was like nothing had happened. Like the same girl they'd just humiliated was now invisible again off scrubbing pans in the background where she belonged. I was halfway through the second round of dishes when I heard it. Emma Mom's voice rang out sharp and impatient. "What are you doing?" I turned, wiping my hands on a dish towel, just finishing up the plates. She stood near the kitchen doorway, arms crossed with that same look of subtle disgust she always gave me when I wasn't performing quite right. "Go sit down. You're making it weird." I blinked. "What?" "It's embarrassing," she said. "You're standing out. We're trying to enjoy the evening, not turn it into a pity party." I stared at her. The plate in my hand suddenly felt like it weighed 10 pounds. I was just trying to help. "Well, don't." Her voice dropped like I was a child being scolded in church. People are starting to notice. I looked past her into the dining room. Nobody was looking. Nobody was even paying attention. But I could see the implication in her eyes. She didn't want me to seem desperate, pathetic, like I was trying too hard to be liked, even though I was. That was the gut punch, realizing I was being shamed not for doing something wrong, but for trying too hard to be good. I stood still, towel in hand, feeling completely exposed. There was nothing left to say. I couldn't argue with her. I couldn't win. So I did what I've done too many times. I shrank. I put down the towel. I turned off the faucet. And I walked back into that dining room, like someone returning to the scene of their own public trial. No one even noticed I was back. The table was alive again with chatter. Jason had moved on to talking about his fantasy football league. Tanya was scrolling through TikToks with her sister. Grandma had fallen asleep with her head tilted back, mouth open. It was as if I had never left the room. As if the last 30 minutes of shame and effort hadn't even existed. I sat down in my empty chair, feeling hollow. The food on my plate had gone cold. I didn't touch it. I just picked at the edges with my fork, trying to keep my face neutral. What did they want from me? If I sat too long, I was lazy. If I helped too much, I was awkward. If I spoke, I was dramatic. If I stayed quiet, I was rude. It was a rigged game, and the worst part was, I still played it. Not because I believed I'd win, but because a part of me still wanted to be accepted, still wanted to be seen as good, as enough. But at that moment, staring into a room full of people who didn't really see me, I felt something shift. Not anger, not sadness, just a quiet, sudden truth. I was done trying to win their approval. Always a big production in my family. Every holiday, someone yells, "Let's get a picture," and suddenly chairs are dragging. People are cramming into the living room and someone's balancing an iPhone on top of a stack of books. It's chaotic and forced, but my mom insists on it. We need memories, she always says. As we gathered for the Tet photo, I tried to blend in quietly. Everyone naturally gravitated toward Jason like gravity pulled them there. He stood dead center on the couch, arm slung over Mom's shoulder, like the crown prince of the family. He didn't even ask to be in the middle. He just landed there like always. I hesitated, then found an open spot far right, practically behind the floor lamp. No one called me forward. No one said, "Hey, Emma, scoot in." They just posed. The timer beeped. Flash. Let's take a second one. just in case Jason's fiancée Maddie said sweetly as she adjusted her hair. She was standing front and center, too, nestled right between Jason and Aunt Denise, like she belonged there more than I ever had. While everyone reset their poses, Maddie leaned in and whispered something to Jason. It was meant to be quiet, but I heard it. Poor girl. Must be tough. Jason snorted. She makes it harder than it has to be. They didn't even try to lower their voices after that, like I wasn't standing right there. I felt my throat tighten again, but I just nodded like I didn't hear it, like it didn't matter. But it did. God, it did. Because that poor girl comment, that wasn't pity. That was pity's mean cousin fake sympathy, dipped in judgment. I smiled for the second photo, the kind of smile you practice in the mirror when you're trying to look okay. When the photo was over, people started peeling off, heading for dessert, chatting in little groups, scrolling through their phones. I stayed in my spot, looking at the framed pictures on the wall. Years of family snapshots stared back at me. Jason's graduation, Jason at prom, Jason on the beach with our cousins. I was in a phone, always bored, always off to the side, never focus. It was weird. It was proof of how long I'd been invisible, even when I was right there. Maddie came over with a plate of cookies. Emma want one. I took one just to be polite. Thanks. She smiled, all warmth and sparkle. You know it's sweet how much you care about helping out. Some people just aren't built for the spotlight. I blinked. I'm not looking for the spotlight. Of course, she said too quickly. Didn't mean it like that. But she did. It was there in her voice, in the way she tilted her head. Like she saw me as a cautionary tale. What happens when you don't quite measure up? I set the cookie down untouched. Jason walked by plate in hand, laughing with one of our cousins. Let's be honest. He said loud enough for me to hear Emma hates group stuff. She's always been weird about that kind of thing. The comments slid past everyone else, like background noise. But it hit me like a slap. I wanted to scream I don't hate group stuff. I hate how I'm treated when I try to join in. But I didn't. I stayed quiet. Again. Instead, I walked out to the porch. The air was cold, sharp against my skin. I leaned against the railing, trying to breathe through the knot in my chest. Inside, they were laughing again. The kind of laughter that comes easy when you've never been the one on the outside. I stared up at the sky, blurry with light pollution and disappointment, and whispered to myself, next year, I'm taking my own damn photo. Alone, because standing on the edge of their picture, that wasn't a memory worth keeping. I slipped away when no one was watching. Everyone was gathered in the kitchen, now crowding around the dessert table, like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just been thrown under the bus again in front of half the family. Jason was charming his way through a story about his job in sales, something about landing a client in New York, and how his boss called him a closer. Of course, they ate it up. He could have read the weather report and gotten applause. I climbed the stairs slowly, like each step weighed 100 pounds. By the time I reached the guest room, my legs felt numb. I pushed the door closed behind me and leaned against it for a long moment, just listening. I could still hear the hum of conversation downstairs, muffled laughter, the sound of someone clinking a spoon against a glass. It felt like they were in a different universe, a place I didn't belong. I walked to the dresser and looked at myself in the mirror. Pale, exhausted. My eyeliner had smudged, probably from blinking back tears all night. My shoulders slumped forward like they were caving in. The fight was gone. I didn't even recognize the girl looking back at me. I sat on the edge of the bed, the same bed I'd slept on during summer breaks and Christmas visits. The one with the scratchy floral comforter that never got changed. I used to feel safe in this room. It was my little escape from the chaos. But now, it felt like a cage, one that came with guilt, shame, and a lifetime of not being enough. I grabbed my phone and opened my texts. My thumb hovered over Jess's name. "I'm done," I typed. "I'm not coming back for Tet next year." I stared at the message for a few seconds before hitting send. Immediately, the read receipt popped up, followed by the typing bubble. "Jess, finally. I've been waiting for you to say that." I exhaled. Not a full breath, not a clean one, but enough to loosen something tight in my chest. Jess followed up. "You don't have to keep putting yourself through this. They don't deserve you." I didn't reply right away. My fingers hovered over the screen, but my mind was still replaying everything. Jason's smug look, Tanya's fake concern, Mom's cold tone. All of it blurred together into this heavy, poisonous fog. I tossed the phone beside me on the bed and lay back staring at the ceiling. The paint was cracking in one corner. There was still a glow in the dark star stuck up there from when I was a kid. I used to imagine that I'd like to better things, safer places, a future where I didn't feel like an afterthought. But here I was, 25, still chasing a version of family that didn't exist for me. I thought about packing my things and leaving tonight, just grabbing my keys, getting in my car, and driving back to Dallas. But I knew how that would go. They'd spin it, call me dramatic, selfish, immature. She couldn't even handle one dinner, they'd say. Poor Emma, so sensitive. So I stayed. Not for them, but for me. So I could be the one to choose when it ends. I sat up and looked in the mirror again. Still pale, still tired, but this time I didn't look away. For the first time, I wasn't asking what I did wrong. I wasn't scrambling for a fix, a way to make them like me, more understand me better. This time, I knew the answer. It wasn't me. It was never me. And if they couldn't see that, then maybe they weren't my people. I picked up my phone again and opened a new note. At the top, I typed my TET plans next year. And underneath that, I wrote anything but this. The next morning, I did something I never thought I'd have the nerve to do. I sat on the edge of the guest bed, my phone trembling in my hand. The sun hadn't even fully come up yet, but I hadn't slept. My eyes burned, my head throbbed, and my chest still felt like it had a weight pressing on it. The night before kept playing in loops. Jason's voice, Tanya's digs, my mom's dismissive tone. Every laugh, every silence, every look, enough. I opened the family group chat, Miller Fam for Life, a name Jason came up with in college. It had always been more active around the holidays party. Details, dinner sign-ups, recycled memes, passive-aggressive reminders to bring your best attitude. I stared at the blinking cursor and typed, "I've decided I won't be coming home for TET next year. Please don't take it personally. I just need space. I hope everyone has a good holiday." I paused. My thumb hovered. Once I sent this, I couldn't take it back. But this time, I didn't want to. I hit send. A message popped up in the chat with a little time-stamped scene. A full minute. There was silence. And the typing bubbles began. Aunt Linda. Never write this. Uncle Joe Emma. This is not the kind of thing you just decide overnight. What about family bonds? Cousin Abby always dramatic. We pray you see your faults before it's too late. This is bigger than you. Mom didn't even message. She just reacted to my post with a thumbs down. Not a word, not a call, just digital disapproval. Jason finally chimed in. "Hey, if you're going through something, we get it. Just don't make a scene. Tet's about coming together." I stared at his message like it was written in another language. "We get it." No, Jason. You never have. You never even tried. Each reply hit me differently. Aunt Linda's guilt trip, Uncle Joe's condescension, Abby's fake concern. But none of it surprised me. I knew what I was walking into. What I didn't expect was the feeling that crept in after all the messages landed. Relief. A deep, startling wave of it. It wasn't just pressure. They were treating my boundary like a betrayal. My need for space had become a personal offense. A declaration of war. But I didn't feel guilty. Not anymore. They didn't ask why. They didn't offer to listen. They just rushed to patch the image of the perfect family I had refused to protect. I scrolled back through the chat and reread their words. The language was so familiar, words wrapped in tradition, loyalty, obligation. All of it designed to keep me in line, to keep me showing up smiling, serving, and swallowing my truth. You'll regret this. This is bigger than you. We pray you see your faults. No one asked, "Are you okay?" No one said, "We're sorry you feel this way." I felt my throat tighten again, but it wasn't from sadness this time. It was from the sheer exhaustion of carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. I set my phone down on the nightstand and stared at the ceiling. One of the glow-in-the-dark stars from childhood still clung stubbornly up there. How some things refused to fall away, even when they long outlived their purpose. Just like this war, I kept trying to force me into it. If I remembered, I thought I was supposed to suffer silently to hold everyone else together. I wasn't going to play her anymore. I picked up my phone again and muted the group chat. No notifications. No more explanations. Let them talk. Let them twist it however they want. I knew my truth now. I wasn't selfish. I wasn't dramatic. I was done being hurt for the sake of keeping peace they never offered me in return. They could keep their curse. I was finally free of it. It was the first time in my life that I woke up on my birthday and didn't hear my mom's voice or Jason's sarcastic text, or any buzzing from the family group chat, just the soft hum of my little apartment in Dallas, and the light tapping of rain against the window. No Tet, no family, just me. The silence was almost startling at first. I lay there in bed wrapped in a throw blanket, staring at the ceiling fan slowly turning. There was no rushing around, no forced smiles, no biting my tongue. I didn't have to prove anything to anyone today. I didn't have to shrink myself to keep the peace. It was just me, and it felt unfamiliar, but good. I let myself stay in bed for another hour, scrolling through messages from friends. A few birthday wishes had already come in people I hadn't seen in months, coworkers, my yoga teacher. But the first message that made me smile came from Mia. "Today's about you. Get ready. I'm on my way." I laughed and tossed the phone onto the bed. I didn't get dressed up. I didn't need to. I threw on my favorite hoodie, ordered greasy diner food from my favorite place, and pulled up a playlist I made last year, but never let myself play. It was full of guilty pleasure songs, cheesy, dramatic, and absolutely perfect. When the food arrived, I unpacked everything carefully. Fries, chicken tenders, pancakes, and a mini cheesecake with one single candle. I lit it and let it burn while I ate, not to make a wish, but to mark the moment. It was small, it was simple, it was mine. As I sat in the quiet, letting my shoulders finally relax, and then my just floated in like ghosts I didn't invite. A plate crash, a wine stain, Tanya's smug voice, Jason's silence, my mom's disappointment. They didn't hurt the way they used to. Not like knives, more like shadows passing through light. I whispered to no one. I'm not responsible for anyone's happiness but my own. And just like that, I felt it. Relief. I didn't need their permission. I didn't need their love on their terms. I didn't need to keep proving my worth in a room that never saw it. Just then, the doorbell rang. I opened it to find Mia standing there in a hoodie, holding a bouquet of daisies and a gift bag with pink tissue paper poking out. Happy birthday, you beautiful badass. I laughed, really laughed for the first time in days. Inside, she dropped the bag and started pulling snacks and champagne from her tote. We're doing birthday our way. No drama, no guilt, no tablecloths. We sat on the floor, legs crossed, dipping fries into ranch and reminiscing about the worst birthdays we'd ever had. We howled over the time I got food poisoning at a roller rink, and when Mia's ex showed up to her birthday party with a date. We talked. We toasted. We danced around the apartment like fools. And for once, I didn't feel like I had to perform. I didn't feel small. I didn't feel like a problem. I just felt like me. Later that night, after Mia left and I was alone again, I stepped out onto the balcony. The air was cold but clean. The wind tugged at my hair. The candle on the cheesecake had burned down to nothing, but I didn't blow it out. I closed my eyes and whispered into the quiet, I don't owe them anything. Not my time. Not my silence. Not my life. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a group message from friends planning a small game night next weekend. You in? I smiled, thumb hovering over the reply. Yes, I typed. I'm in. Because this year, family isn't about blood. It's about who sees you, chooses you, and celebrates you. In spite of who you are. Because of it. Emma has always been the black sheep of the family, blamed for every mishap overshadowed by Jason, and humiliated. But after one painful Tet celebration, filled with public shame and emotional isolation, Emma reaches her breaking point. She decides to skip the next family holiday and sets a boundary that sends shockwaves through her relatives. When her 26th birthday arrives alone in her Dallas apartment, she fears regret, but instead, she finds peace, joy, and the beginning of self-worth. Surrounded by real friends and her own quiet strength, Emma finally reclaims her identity. This is a powerful story of family betrayal, emotional survival, and personal rebirth. If this story moved, you don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more emotional, relatable stories just like this one. Share your experience in the comments. Have you ever had to walk away to find your peace?